They tax you when you are coming down the mountain, so to speak, of retirement. In this educational episode, I'm going to talk about the concept that the government taxes people who have the money. Who has the money? Usually older people, retirees who have money they've saved in yet to be taxed IRAs and 401ks. This is what causes most retirees to outlive their money, because now they're going to pay taxes the rest of their life at the time in life, frankly, when they can afford it the least. So I'm Doug Andrew, and I've been a financial strategist and retirement planning specialist now for nearly 5 decades. I'm 70 years old. I started in 1974. And I've been helping people minimize taxes and helping people redirect otherwise payable taxes to causes they support by using sections of the Internal Revenue Code that allows people to accumulate their money tax-free and then be able to access that money tax-free. And people say, how? Where's that in the code? Section 72E and 7702. And then at the end of the day, when they finally die, whatever they leave behind blossoms and transfers tax-free. Where in the code? Section 101A. If you want to learn about those, I teach on this channel about how to accumulate, access, and transfer your money totally tax-free in adherence to those 3 sections of the Internal Revenue Code by complying with 3 tax citations passed in the 1980s. TEFRA, the Tax Equity Fiscal Responsibility Act. DEFRA, the Deficit Reduction Act. Those are 1982 and 1984. And then TAMRA, the Technical and Miscellaneous Revenue Act of 1988. When you adhere to, comply with those tax citations, your money inside of a max-funded index universal life insurance contract is totally tax-free. But see, what happens is people go, well, Doug, why are you so big on tax-free? Well, hello? Because if I have $1 million saved and it's totally tax-free, and if it's earning, like I've averaged, 11.17%, netting over 10%, every $1 million I save in an IUL can generate $100,000 a year of tax-free income if I live to be 120 without depleting the million. If I'm in a tax-deferred IRA or 401k and I have $1 million in there, and I need $100,000 a year, I pull out $100,000, even if it's earning 10%. I pull out $100,000, but I need it net. I need $100,000 net because of inflation or whatever to buy gas, groceries, prescription, and golf green fees in a 33% tax bracket. I have to pull out 50% more money. Hello? I have to pull out $150,000, pay tax of a third, 50, to net $100,000 to buy gas and groceries. That $1 million nest egg will be gone, drained dry in 11 years. The same million in a max-funded IUL, I still have my million when people who used to have $1 million in IRAs or 401ks are out of money in the 11th year. If they retire at age 65, they're out of money at age 76. The chances are one in a baby boomer couple is going to live to be 96. I would rather have another 20 years of $100,000. That's $2 million extra dollars, plus still have my million. That's a $3 million better retirement strategy than the same million in an IRA or 401k. That's why I want tax-free instead of just tax-deferred. I can't believe how many people don't understand this. Okay, so what happens and why are IRAs or 401ks the popular choice? Well, it's because I think a lot of Americans are duped, frankly, into thinking that by deferring, procrastinating, paying tax on an IRA or 401k, when you get to retirement, you'll likely be in a lower tax bracket. That has not been true or axiomatic, frankly, for over 30 years. People who actually save money are usually not in lower tax brackets. If you don't understand why, it's because most Americans, if they put money, and when I say most, 91% of Americans actually put money into IRAs or 401ks. They're like following the herd with their company, 401k. They just don't get it. They say, oh, I'll likely be in a lower. I'll deal with it when I get there. And then they get shocked when I tell them, they come in at retirement and I go, bring your net after-tax IRA 401k statements. After-tax statements? I know they don't have them, so I have to calculate it. I go, I got bad news for you. This million in your IRAs and 401ks isn't all your money. Only about 2/3 of it is your money. Only about $650,000 is your money. The other $350,000 belongs to the government. They've had a permanent tax lien from day one on this. This is the best savings bond the government ever came up with for themselves. Were you planning your retirement or Uncle Sam's? But somehow they got duped into it. But the reason why they're not in a lower tax bracket is because they were killing off their tax deductions during their earning years. They pay off their mortgages on their properties. They don't have that tax deduction anymore. In retirement, you're no longer contributing money to IRAs or 401ks. You don't have that deduction anymore. Your kids are gone. Even if they move back in as adults, you can't deduct them anymore. If you were a business owner and you sold your business, you don't have those deductions anymore. And Congress, because of irresponsible government spending and the printing of money, keeps raising taxes. When you're spending 3 times more than you're bringing in, which is what the government is doing as I speak, you've got to raise taxes, or there's a hidden tax called inflation. This is what causes most retirees to outlive their money. So I want to be immune from taxes going up by converting to tax-free, and that's accomplished with max-funded IUL. I want to link my returns to the things that inflate. I don't like inflation any more than anybody, but it doesn't hurt me. I've always earned a rate of return of about 5% greater than the cost or the rate of inflation. Back in 1980, when inflation was 10, I was earning 15.5% on my universal life. During COVID-19, 2020 to 2021, inflation hit 15. Most of our clients on their IUL got credited 25% and even 61%. If you don't know how to do this, you need to study the book I'm going to give to you at the end of this episode. But let's get back to the taxes. See, when the government is hard up for tax revenue, which they are, as I speak, where do they go to tax people? Well, it's a no-brainer. To the people who have the money. So I often will use the metaphor of Mount Everest. There's been more than 4,000 people scale Mount Everest, and over 250 people have died in that attempt. When do you think most of them died? Going up the mountain or coming down the mountain? Yeah, coming down the mountain. They're taking unnecessary risks. They're not focused or whatever. Well, see, retirement is like coming down the mountain. If you're a golfer, it's the back 9 of an 18-hole golf game of life. And so the government comes after you to tax you when you have the money. It sort of reminds me, comically, of one of my favorite movies, clear back in the 1970s, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. If you have never seen the movie, I would recommend you check it out on Netflix or whatever. But it stars Robert Redford and Paul Newman. So we have Butch Cassidy, which is Paul Newman, and the Sundance Kid, which is Robert Redford. If you don't know the history behind Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, they were bank robbers, and they also robbed the Union Pacific Railroad. And they did that in southern Utah and so forth. And pretty soon, E.H. Harriman, the head guy with the Union Pacific Railroad, was fed up with them picking on his railroad. So he hired professional trackers and investigators, and they set up a posse to go chase after Butch Cassidy and Sundance, and they narrowly escaped. Well, they decided, man, this E.H. Harriman has hired these people. We got to get out of Dodge. Well, that meant America. So they went down to Bolivia. Little did they know that this guy was eventually going to track them to Bolivia because of the news, okay? Even back then, the world news got around after a few months. Well, they went down to Bolivia and started robbing banks. It was sort of comical in the movie because they don't know Spanish, and so they made a few mistakes, but pretty soon they got good at it, and all of a sudden, the heat's coming down on them, and so they find out that this investigator is tracking them to Bolivia. So they decide to disappear from bank robbing and go straight. So they hire themselves out as payroll guards for a gold mine. And it's a hilarious scene. But on the first day on the job, they're going to up the mountain, so to speak, to get the payroll, the gold, okay? And Butch and Sundance, okay, this is Robert Redford and Paul Newman, are back there, and the lead guy is on a mule, and he's singing Old Betsy from Pike. And, Butch and Sundance are looking around ready because they want to guard him. And they're going, I'll bet you the robbers are behind the rocks up there on the right. I'll bet you they're behind the bushes or the trees on the left. And finally, their boss turns around and goes, morons. I have morons on my team. He goes to the two professional bank robbers and he says, they don't rob you when you don't have the money. We don't have the money. Stop worrying. You should start worrying when we're coming back down the mountain when we have the money. Then start worrying. And they were just looking sheepishly and they just thought, oh, golly, we're so stupid. Yeah. So I don't know who it was, but they ask a bank robber, a famous bank robber, why do you rob banks? And he goes, duh, because that's where the money is. Okay. Now, why did I tell you that? Where does the government go to get money? Tax revenue. The people who have the money. They rob the people who have the money. And so when you're coming down the mountain of life during your golden years, if you have money and yet to be taxed IRAs or 401ks, they're going to come and take 30%, 35%, 40%, 50%. The General Accountability Office says they will probably have to raise taxes to as much as 60 to 67% on people who have the money. The wealthy people, tax the wealthy. You've heard it. So beware. If you don't want to be robbed coming down the mountain of life on your hard-earned savings, get your money out of those IRAs or 401ks and put it into a max-funded indexed insurance contract where it's tax-free, because that's totally tax-free. They will not rob you. If you want to learn more about a laser fund, a properly structured max-funded indexed universal life, then I would recommend you study this book. Now, it's actually 2 books in one. This has been flying off of our warehouse shelves. We send out sometimes 1,000 a week. I don't want you to miss out. You can go to Amazon and buy it for $20 and pay another, $9 or $10 in shipping and handling. If you do that, thank you. But I'll gift you a copy free. But before you do it, it's actually 2 books in one. This side is the left brain side, which is the one that has all the charts and graphs and explanations if you're a left brain learner. And it is about 200 pages, 14 chapters. If you're more of a right brain learner, you learn by stories and examples, you flip it over and read this book. This is about 100 pages, 12 chapters with 62 actual client stories. You can use your whole brain and read both books, okay? But to claim your free copy, simply go to laserfund.com or click on the link below. You contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling. I'll cover the rest of that, but I'll pay for the book. I'll fire out a hard copy to you the next day via priority mail. And while you're in there claiming your free copy, if you like to listen and learn or watch and learn, check out the audio and video formats. You can register for a free educational webinar we teach on a weekly basis. You can even schedule an appointment to talk to an IUL specialist that I mentor and oversee. And with no cost or obligation, they can create illustrations to show how a properly structured IUL can benefit you in your particular set of circumstances with your serious cash. But you don't want to crash coming down the mountain. You don't want to run out of money. So I strongly recommend you get your money out of those IRAs or 401ks and perform what I call a strategic rollout. That is explained in this book. It's not a rollover.